What's up, everyone? It's day 3 of Christmas as the head of household. She's nominated Bay and Davon, it was bold. But who won the veto and what will they do? Do they have any plans and will it go through? Welcome to your live feed update. So yeah guys, welcome to the third day in a Christmas themed week on TV Talks with Tom. I hope you enjoyed that little tune. That's a bit of Fairy Tale in New York there for you guys. I'm sure you all know it. It's a classic Christmas song. But as we say guys, we're here to talk about Big Brother. So it was being the veto competition, so we'll start as we usually do on a veto update, and we'll talk about who actually played in the comp, what the style of comp was, and who the winner was. As this was a prizes and punishments veto competition, some of the participants didn't walk away with nothing. We had Davon walking away with $5,000, which is fantastic news. Bailey received a punishment called the triathlete comp, where a sort of comp punishment sort of thing where she has to cycle around the yard 500 laps on a tricycle within 12 hours. Nicole was put into a unitard, and then we had Dani winning a slot pass. So some were good and some weren't so great, but it seems as though, you know, you got to be in it to win it. And if you didn't win the veto, at least you got $5,000 or even a slot pass, which is quite mediocre. Straight after the comp, we see Dani and Nicole sit down with Christmas, and they sort of said they were apologising. They were a bit worried that Christmas would be annoyed with them because they didn't go for the veto and they ended up with some other prizes / punishments. And as a result, they just sat down to clear the air. Christmas was absolutely fine about it. She said it's the best case scenario because then she can leave it up to the house what to do. Don't know what happened to my throat there, guys. She can leave it up to what the house wants to do, which is seems to be the theme in BB22. It's just, what does the house want? What does the house want? Week after week after week. But it seems as though they have sort of settled on the fact that Bailey is the louder of the two. They've said Davon's much quieter and much more chill, and they'd rather have her stick around a bit longer. Devon sat down with Bailey after, and she basically expressed the fact that she was in a wreck as soon as she saw the competition because it was the one that sent her out in BB18, she expressed. And as a result, Christmas leveled with her and said, look, I'm acknowledging the fact that one of you two is going to go this week, either yourself or Bailey, but I think it's looking like it's probably going to be Bailey. But she agreed that if they brought Davon in with Christmas, Dani and Nicole as the only 4 girls left, they agree it will be a total powerhouse of an alliance. So they think it's a good idea for Davon to stay so they can form some sort of thing that will be total powerhouse, and then they can start to pick some guys off. Davon told Dani and Nicole that she realises she probably has Ian and Kevin's votes on her side as well, meaning that she only needs 1 more vote this week. There is 9 votes in play this week, guys, meaning 5 is the magic number, so she's got 4 there, she believes anyway, and she requires 1 more. I think it's going to be extremely easy for her to scoop up a unanimous vote this week. I think things could flip. They might just flip in the next few days, obviously, because leading up to the actual eviction, things can change quite a lot. And the biggest break in the house without a competition is between the veto comp and the actual eviction itself, which gives a lot of time for campaigning and a lot of time to do some damage and flip things on its head. I think it's very unlikely the veto is going to be used, but I think Davon is sitting very, very safely this week, considerably safely for the fact she's on the block, much safer than Bailey. Memphis expressed to Davon that he would like her as an ally, but she continues to keep running away from him. Now, Memphis also said to her that he expressed his game was the lone wolf strategy, and I think that's what we've seen from Memphis after his catastrophic dictatorship HOH. He's actually came off pretty well from that. I think the tables would have been flipped if someone in the minority of the house had actually won the HOH competition after those couple of weeks, but they didn't, so Memphis got out a get of jail free card there for a good 3 or 4 weeks, and he continues to do so. Nobody's really targeting him when he was basically, even on his HOH, he was target number 1 in the house. Everyone was turning on him, but it seems he's sitting very, very well. However, when all the so-called obvious targets have gone, the bottom feeders that everyone's calling them, Memphis will be the first to be picked off by his alliance, or the big alliance of the house, should they win HOH. However, Memphis won't be afraid to make those big moves if he wants to win HOH, and especially with the lone wolf strategy, you've got no loyalty to anyone, so you can do whatever you want to get yourself further in the game. So obviously when Bailey and Davon are likely split up this week, there needs to be another target, and with the Janelle and Cases scenario, it was pick off one and then just get rid of the rest just to clean up shop. But it doesn't seem it's the same case with Bailey and Davon. They want to take Bailey out, and then Christmas and Cody said they would like to target Kevin. They feel that he has the third power, that nobody knows who has it in the house, so they are very, very worried with the way Kevin is acting around them. He believes he's acting very sketchy, and they also discussed that Ian still has to go. It's funny because Ian is always at the back of everyone's minds, yet nobody's making the big move to take Ian out. It's just getting the people who aren't really that big of a threat but seem to be because they're in a duo, etc., which is fair enough because a duo is threatening. But Ian has got an extremely strong game, he's an extremely intelligent guy, and nobody's still taking a shot at him, and it's going to be jury next week. Bailey and Davon sat down and had the discussion that Tyler is orchestrating and dictating BB22. It's very, very similar to BB20. They've realised he's doing it all over and over again, and nobody's really targeting him. And you know what? It always seems this season that it's always too little too late, unfortunately, and it seems to be the pattern that's going week after week after week. But it seems as though they've realised that Tyler's the person who's running the show. We'll see if they can plant some seeds over the next few days, because the idea of backdoor and Tyler was brought up at the very beginning of the week. I think it's very unlikely that Christmas is going to betray Tyler, but all it takes is a few people that Christmas is close with to say it, some close confidants, and then she'll start to trust that judgment more and then make that move should many people want her to. Dani reiterated to Christmas and to each other that they believe Bailey should be the one to go first, with Dani bringing up the point that if there is a pre-jury battle back, which obviously we know isn't true, Dani said that Bailey would have a better chance of beating Janelle. So Dani just really doesn't want Janelle to come back in, so she is sort of removing Bailey from the scenario as the person to try and beat Janelle should one of them come back out of the two. Tyler has expressed his concern to Cody that he is worried if Dani wins HOH next week, she will try and backdoor him. Cody said there's no shot, but we know there's definitely some animosity building up between the two of them. I believe Tyler really wants to take the shot at Dani, and Dani likely won't hesitate to take the shot at Tyler, especially if Bailey and Davon are out of the scenario. I think Kevin could be left as a target next week, but things in the Big Brother house are never as what it seems, and when you think things are going to be really predictable or whatever, someone off the bottom wins HOH and things can just turn around like that. But I think it seems Tyler's here to play, and so is Dani, but we'll see who takes the first shot. As discussed earlier, Bailey received a punishment in which she had to do 500 laps around the yard in, I believe it was 12 hours, on a tricycle. And if she hadn't done that in time, she would not be able to play in the veto competition next week, should she stay in the house. She did it, she completed the comp, but I don't think she's going to be there to play in the veto anyway. But props to Bailey for doing that, so well done massively. Another sign of Devon in safety and Bailey in jeopardy would be the fact that at the end of the evening, Dani had the conversation with Devon that she feels she is safe this week. Obviously, we know Dani has a lot of sway being in the in crowd and being in the alliances in the house, the big ones. So we know that her word is probably something there. I don't think she's going to lie to the person who's going to stay, because it's just going to do just as much damage to take someone out as well to lie to the person who's going to stay. You might as well be honest with at least one of them. So I feel like that's genuine there. But she's told Devon there's a lot of game to go until Thursday, as I discussed actually earlier in the video. A few days in the Big Brother house can be monumental in turning things and turning points within the house. But she has told Devon to don't push it too hard. Don't campaign too hard. Don't make people feel like you have to give me your vote, because if you do that, sometimes it just overboils. The kettle overboils, and things can blow up like Krakatoa. So you just got to be careful, be reserved. Dani's told her that she's got other people putting in the work for her, and it's likely going to be Bailey going home, and it's going to take something, I think, to flip that round. So she's told Devon just to chill and go with the flow. That is all of your game updates for today, folks. I thoroughly hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you have all had a fantastic weekend as well. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. I appreciate all the support. You are all legends. But until your next live feed update, guys, I've been your host, Tom Vasey. Good night.